sell weapons to NATO members who will then supply them to Ukraine. Mr. Trump has also given an ultimatum to President Putin: end the war in 50 days or face 100% tariffs imposed against Russia and its trading partners.
50 days. That is the deadline just issued by the White House to Vladimir Putin. 50 days to end the war in Ukraine and sign a peace agreement. If not, the consequences won't be your usual sanctions. The consequences involve a new economic weapon designed to cripple Russia in a way never attempted before. On Monday, in a statement that stunned diplomats from Brussels to Beijing, President Donald Trump delivered his ultimatum, not directly to Russia, but to its main economic lifelines. Trump threatened to impose 100% secondary tariffs on any country that continues to trade with Russia, specifically naming China and India.
And we're going to be doing very severe tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days.
The threat involves US tariffs of 100% on countries that trade with Russia, including buying its oil.
At the same time, a new deal was announced. NATO countries will pay the United States to send a wave of the most advanced weaponry to Ukraine, including potentially long-range missiles that could shift the battlefield map entirely.
We've made a deal today where we are going to be sending them weapons and they're going to be paying for them.
By they, he meant European NATO countries paying. But crucially, the White House is back engaging with fresh arms supplies for Ukraine, something the head of NATO has been trying to nurture for months.
This is a god-tier gamble, a geopolitical maneuver with two razor-sharp edges. This is a story of an impossible deadline, alliances under strain, and a president who appears to have drastically changed course. These developments are critical, and to make sure you don't miss our next in-depth analysis, we would truly appreciate it if you take a moment to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Now, let's dive into the central question. Is this a masterstroke designed to finally force Putin to the negotiating table? Or is it a reckless gamble? One that could spark a global trade war and uncontrollable military escalation. To understand how seismic Monday's announcement truly is, we have to look back at Trump's recent stance. During his campaign, he pledged to end the Ukraine war in 24 hours, and often complained that arming Kyiv was a waste of American taxpayers' money. Even as recently as February, we all witnessed that now infamous awkward Oval Office meeting, where Trump appeared visibly annoyed with President Zelensky, who showed up in casual attire, seemingly asking for more weapons. The relationship looked cold.
Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
So, what changed? In his statement, Trump hinted at deep personal frustration with Putin. He described him as a man who just talks. I've heard the talk. It's always talk, talk, talk. Then the missiles hit Kiev and 60 people die, Trump said.
Here today, we had a wonderful conversation. She said, oh, really? Another city was just hit. So it's like, look, he's, I don't want to say he's an assassin, but he's a tough guy.
He even shared a rare anecdote about a conversation with First Lady Melania Trump. He'd hang up the phone with Putin and say, "That was a pleasant call," only to be met with, "Really? Another city just got hit." After this happened again and again, Trump said, "You know, these conversations mean nothing." But beyond personal frustration, there's immense political pressure in Washington. Influential senators like Lindsey Graham have been working behind the scenes, rallying support for a much tougher sanctions bill against Russia, nicknamed the sledgehammer, aimed at Putin. Trump's announcement may be seen as an attempt to get ahead of Congress, to show that he controls U.S. foreign policy. That shift culminated in a positive phone call with President Zelensky on Monday, a complete reversal from their frosty February meeting. The war has changed the president. Now let's break down the two main pillars of this ultimatum. First, the threat. Trump's primary weapon isn't direct tariffs on Russia, which is already largely isolated. His weapon is secondary tariffs. Think of it this way. You don't punish the bully directly. You punish every friend who still does business with him. By threatening China and India, Russia's two biggest oil customers, with 100% tariffs, Trump is forcing them to choose: do business with Russia or do business with America. They can't have both. This is a strategy aimed at choking off the Kremlin's war revenue at the source. If China and India stop buying Russian oil, the Russian economy could collapse. But the risk is enormous. It could trigger a full-blown trade war with China, cause major inflation in the US, and push Beijing and New Delhi to form an economic bloc opposed to Washington. Top EU diplomat Kaja Kallas voiced skepticism. She said the 50-day deadline is a very long time, giving Putin and China plenty of room to find a workaround or plot a counter-strategy. Then there's the second pillar, the reward. Alongside the threat, Trump announced a brilliant deal from an America First perspective. For the first time since returning to office, the US will send a wave of new weapons to Ukraine, but with a condition. America won't pay a dime.
You're gambling with World War III.
This is a significant shift from the leader who had tried to blame Ukraine for the war, even at one point suspending US arms shipments. Mr. Zelensky tonight said he had spoken with President Trump, thanking him for what he called a very good conversation and the willingness to support Ukraine.
NATO countries such as Germany, Norway, Denmark, and Canada will purchase these US-made weapons and deliver them to Ukraine. This is a triple victory for Trump. Ukraine gets the weapons, NATO pays for them, and America's defense industry wins billion-dollar contracts. And these aren't leftovers from storage. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte promised a significant quantity of military equipment. Patriot air defense batteries are expected within days, and most significantly, White House sources leaked that the package might include long-range missiles capable of striking deep inside Russian territory, possibly even Moscow. This represents a serious military escalation. Delivering such weapons could fundamentally shift Ukraine's ability not just to defend, but to strike back in ways that would truly hurt the Kremlin. Now, all eyes are on the three main players in this global chessboard. First, Vladimir Putin. Will he see this as a bluff and intensify his attacks during the next 50 days as Axios has reported? Or will the threat of total isolation from China and India, plus the prospect of American missiles on his doorstep, finally push him towards serious negotiations? Second, China. Will Xi Jinping buckle under US pressure and abandon his strategic partner in Moscow? Or will he call Trump's bluff, endure the 100% tariffs, and double down on building a new global order no longer reliant on America? And third, Ukraine. Can they hold the line for 50 more days against potentially brutal Russian assaults? And how will they use these new weapons that could alter the course of the war? The world now watches a ticking clock. 50 days that may define the outcome of the biggest war in Europe since World War II, reshape the global balance of power, and test the economic stability of the entire planet. Every decision, every statement, every troop movement in this period will echo for years to come. This is the ultimate gamble in international politics. A move that could bring peace or ignite something far, far worse. What do you think? Is this Trump's masterstroke or a reckless bet that could backfire catastrophically? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you appreciate content that takes you beyond the headlines, please show your support by hitting like, subscribe, and turning on notifications. We'll see you in the next update.